That was this pastor in Indianapolis, Indiana. Man, first of all, I've been following them. Their choir is off the chain. It's Calvary Tabernacle. And man, let me tell you something. He was preaching and he was talking about racism and Christianity, and he was really talking to them white conservative evangelicals. I want y'all to hear what Josh Carson had to say.
I want to address something head on in the spirit right now. There is an absolute desire in the world to consistently stir up racial tension. Constant. What I'm about to talk about is not political, it is spiritual. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Here's why you need to know why we're Pentecostal. Because at Pentecost, everybody was invited. It didn't matter where you were from, where you lived, whether you were the boss or whether you were the lowest servant. Everybody gets to come to Pentecost. Everybody gets to experience Pentecost. Now, I don't usually tell you should respond, but what I'm about to say, you should respond. Okay? You should do something. You should do something. I'm just telling you, okay? Whether or not they are your brother or your sister is not based on the tone of their skin. Yes, I'm going to say it. We should denounce racism and anything thereof. And if you got even a thread of racism, you need to bury that at the altar. Leave your gift at the altar. Make repentance and go reconcile that. Oh, say, well, there he is. Don't be political, Pastor. I'm not being political unless you want to deal with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Because in the great celebration, don't you tell me you can't worship with them here, but you can go to heaven. I refuse to believe in that nonsense. Well, I don't know, because they're Hispanic or they're African American or they're Burmese or I don't know. What are you talking about? They taught me when I was a child in a small country town, even in Illinois, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. I'm going to tell you what restoration is. Restoration is the plan of God. Whosoever will, let him come. I'll save the Jew, but I'm going to save the Gentile as well.
Now, of course, we played that because a Pew Research study shows that white evangelicals remain among Donald Trump's strongest supporters. A majority say they support all or most of his plan and policies. The study does show that more white evangelicals, they view Trump less positive than they were in the early days of his second administration. Support for his agenda among white evangelicals is down 8 points last year, and confidence in his ethics has slipped by 15 points. Now, the thing about this is, if you look at the numbers, it is actually pretty ugly. I'm gonna start with you, Eugene. It was hilarious when you look at the numbers in terms of the different Protestant denominations in terms of how they view Donald Trump. Of course, white Protestants, they love them some Donald Trump. But woo, when it comes to black Protestants, that ain't the case. White evangelicals, extremely or very confident Donald Trump acts ethically in office. White evangelicals, 40%. The adult U.S. average is 21%. Unaffiliated is 10%. Black Protestants, 7%. I keep telling folk, if America would listen to black folk, we would be in a hell of a lot better position.
Yeah, listen, America, listen to black folk. You wouldn't have had John Thunderman. You probably won't get Tallarico in Texas. There's a couple more things to try to save folk from, including Donald Trump. But you got to understand this, right? And our audience does understand this, that black folks' relationship to faith is much different than white folks' relationship to faith. And that how we view things and how we view the Bible and the context of the Bible are dramatically different, right? And the thing is this, you got to keep in mind, even when it came to folk that were supposed to be, voters of faith and based on their faith, Donald Trump came in second in Iowa in 2016 on the heels of everything, and came in first in New Hampshire. So, I mean, not a lot of this isn't surprising to us, because even pre-Trump, a lot of these folk, they're the same people that voted for Steve Kane, the same people that would support Andy Biggs, the same people that will support, the worst of the worst of these politicians, largely because they're white and maybe because they may speak their language, but not necessarily follow the deed of the book, they claim to love.
I really do. I really do, Cody. I get a kick out of these white conservatives who love to comment on black folk business. Eric Erickson, big time right wing white evangelical. This is what he tweeted. I keep trying to tell Democrats that guys like Tallarico are considered frauds in the non-white community because he talks faith like he learned it with a Rosetta Stone subscription. It turns off voters who actually are faithful Christians and remain Democrats, and those are, at this point, almost exclusively non-white voters who have voted Democrat for historic reasons. I responded to him, Cody, by saying, this is a lie, Eric. Non-white Christians vote Democrat because of the present day heinous policies of the GOP, as well as the hypocrisy of white evangelicals.
Right. Let me just tell you, whenever I see a white person talking about black people issues, most of the time I ignore it because a lot of times they lie and they don't know what they're talking about. But I do want to give a quick shout out to that pastor in that video clip that you Roland, because as I mentioned the last time I was on the show, I don't think that it's often enough that we see white people denounce white supremacy and talk out against racism. I don't think that that is displayed within our media enough. And I think that if we had more of that, we would maybe have a little less division. But going back to what was said earlier, I think that in terms of the slipping support of white evangelicals, first of all, I'm surprised that there is a slip because we all know that they're in a cult, right? But also, I do wonder sometimes, well, what is it going to take for them to truly realize that they are in this cult? And I think they haven't felt the brunt of some of these issues that have occurred in this country. We talked about the black unemployment rate earlier. Well, we know that right now, black people are feeling that the most right now. The black unemployment rate is higher than the national rate. And so a lot of times when these stories come out about the ways in which black people are affected by some of the national policies and some of the national changes that are being made in the White House, a lot of white people feel as if they are exempt. They feel as if, oh, well, this is not going to affect me, so I don't have to worry about that. That's only going to affect people of color. And that's really the basis of why they vote the way that they do, right? But as we have seen in the reports around black unemployment, we are just the start of it, right? Like, we know that if we are starting to feel the brunt of the economy, it's just going to continue to trickle down. And so I'm interested to see, as this economy continues to turn over, because Trump is obviously not doing the things that he said he was going to do when he campaigned in 2024. It doesn't look like any of those things are going to change anytime soon. I do wonder if in another year, what are the approval rates going to look like from Trump from this same group of people when they do start feeling the effects of the economy?
So the thing, Andrew, is these white conservative evangelicals, they actually want us to believe that they are voting along biblical lines. No, they're not, because the agenda they are voting for is an anti-Jesus agenda. That's why they can't stand Pope Leo, because he keeps kicking they behind and challenging them when it comes to their treatment of undocumented people, as well as their treatment of the poor. And so black people not fooled by it. And see, that's what they don't understand. See, I always explain to folks, when the people say, well, black people are naturally, black people are conservative. Yeah, black people, first of all, we are not conservative in the same vein of how they define conservatism. So I think people need to understand that. And the same conservatism, that's first and foremost. They are operating by a slaveholder's religion. They are operating by a Jim Crow 2.0 point of view. And so what Eric Erickson doesn't seem to understand is that we are not going to respond the same way they do, because we see their attacks on voting rights. their attacks on civil rights, their attacks on books. We see their attacks on the poor. We see their attacks on Black economic empowerment. We see all of those things, and Black folks simply are not going to be aligned with that. And every Republican and every conservative, y'all can try as y'all want to talk about the radical Republicans in the wake of the Civil War. Y'all can talk about, oh, it was the Republican Party who did this. You can talk about that it was Southern Democrats who started the KKK. Y'all can talk about all that y'all want to, but here's what we know, Andrew. The party today that stands with the Confederacy, Republicans. The party today that defends Confederate monuments, Republicans. And Peter Hegseth and what they're doing in the Department of Defense, what Donald Trump is doing. And so we know exactly who we're dealing with. And so they can try all they want to say, this is who the Republicans are historically. But Eric Erickson, Black folk ain't down with the people today who simply want to treat us like the Southern Democrats did back in the day.
Yeah, and last week, President Trump released a video depicting President Obama and Michelle Obama as monkeys. Now, there's a lot of gorillas. So there's a lot of different things that President Trump has done over the years, even before he was president, all the way going back to the Central Park Five, calling for Obama's birth certificate. There are a lot of things that he's done that's racist, but after he released that video depicting former presidents, Black presidents, as gorillas, and also as he disinvited the only Black governor in the United States, how can you support that party going forward and still say that you're not a racist? There's just no way. And that's why Black people are not conservatives, because we've seen this. We've seen this for decades, for decades from this Republican Party. And now he just overtly releases a video and confirms something that we've known for years now. So anyone that's standing now with the Republican Party can't say it's because of the policies. You can't say it's because of the policies. It's because you support the fact that they're racist. That should, anybody that was Republican that said, oh, maybe we're on the line, we're towing the line, that video being released and you still supporting the Republicans in the poll in November shows that you're a racist. There's no other way.